The thoughts, opinions, and general overall shades thrown on High at 9 News are those of the individual speakers and not those of High at 9 News, its audience, or its advertisers. The statements made do not constitute medical, legal, or financial advice, and for advice tailored to your specific situation, please consult with a licensed professional. Welcome to the High at 9 News Hour, where you will hear from cannabis industry experts and professionals from around the country talk about important topics while shining light on global issues and discussing cannabis as it relates to politics, regulation and reform, data and technology, science, research and medicine, family and parenting, art, celebrities and entertainment, fitness, sports, mental health and wellness, and plant-based medicines and entheogenics. Together, we are building a stronger community, fighting the stigma and creating change. With your host, Jason Beck, joined by special industry expert correspondents from around the country, and daily antics brought to you by Cannabis. Coming to you live every Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific Time and high noon on the East Coast. And thank you all for getting high at 9 with us. Oh, good morning, everybody. It is Thursday, May 8th, and today is a National Student Nurse Day today, you guys.
Give it up for the student nurses?
Yeah, shout out to, education, you know what I'm saying? Student nurses. If we didn't have nurses, you know what I mean? Who's gonna just take all your IVs, Stone?
That's right. Let's give them props while we still got them.
Yeah. It's also National, you'll love this. It's too bad Jenny's not here today. She's a little ill. It's National Have a Coke Day. And I think that includes Diet Coke too.
It does.
Mm-hmm. What do you think, Dale?
That stuff's poisonous.
You think it's a different kind of Coke they're talking about? Have a Coke Day?
Well, there's a double on, but Coke started out as Coke.
It did.
So
it did.
That.
And they're the only country that is legally allowed to import Coke, and they put cocaine terps in the Coke.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
They get what they want because they're a long-standing company.
Mm-hmm. So. And it's also National Coconut Cream Pie Day today, you guys.
All right, I'm down with that one. This is my first one that I'm all, and the nurses, of course.
And the nurses.
Coconut cream pie and the munchies, I'm in.
You in? Rachelle,
Yeah,
I saw.
like that.
Yeah, she's with it. All right, sweet. As sweet as coconut cream pie. Thank you all for joining us and getting high at 9 with us. There's also high noon on the East Coast. And please remember to like, share, and subscribe to us on all social media platforms. You can look up above and down below to see exactly where we live on the internet. And we are live every Monday through Friday on YouTube, Rumble, Twitch, X, Instagram, Facebook, Kick, as well as on our very own website at www.highat9news.com. So welcome to everyone joining us from any one of those platforms. And since Jenny Beth is ill today, I'm going to kind of just, I end up having 3 stories today, you guys. So I'm going to run through my first 2 first, and we'll go to Dale, and then we're going to do Stone and Rachelle, and then I'll close out with the last one. Does that work? All right.
Sure.
All right.
I'm here.
Yes. Well, Pennsylvania Senate Law and Justice Committee Chair declares marijuana bill as DOA in its current form. And for those of you that don't know what abbreviations are, that is dead on arrival, you guys. Just minutes after the Pennsylvania House gave final approval to HB 1200, a proposal to legalize adult use cannabis, the chair of a key Senate committee made clear the bill stands no chance, at least in its current form, he says. Senator Dan Laughlin, who serves as the chair of the Senate Law and Justice Committee, took to social media this afternoon to double down on his opposition to the House-approved measure, which would legalize marijuana and establish state-run retail outlets. In a post that included a photo of himself with a bold message, Laughlin said, "There is zero, not to be confused with Coke Zero, chance that the state store model will make it through the Senate. That idea is DOA," he says. HB 1200, which passed the House earlier in the day by a narrow 102 to 101 margin, wow, would legalize the possession and purchase of marijuana for those 21 and older and establish a statewide system of Pennsylvania cannabis stores modeled after the state's existing liquor system. Adults would also be allowed to grow up to 2 mature plants and 2 immature plants at home. But with the bill now heading to the Republican-controlled Senate, its future is uncertain, particularly with opposition from Laughlin, a longtime proponent of marijuana legalization, who has supported private licensing models. Republicans control the chamber 27 to 23, and Laughlin has previously co-sponsored bipartisan legislation to legalize marijuana, but has consistently opposed a state-controlled retail system. As chair of the Law and Justice Committee, he would be in a key position to hold or advance the bill once it reaches the Senate. His post, which was published just minutes after the House's final vote, strongly suggests that HB 1200 will face major revisions or stall entirely unless the state store model is removed. Interesting. I can't wait to hear what you guys have to say about this. He's all about less government, apparently. He doesn't want to have a state-run stores. Look at this. He wants to have a free open marketplace. That's what I'm getting out of this, and I can't wait to hear what you guys got to say about this.
Yeah, I don't, in a big state like that, with that kind of population, I don't know that the state can't run anything anyway. It just is not efficient at running shit. And to let them be the ones that run the retail stores. I mean, they could certainly have a finger on the pulse, but let the open market run this thing. That's my argument across the whole country. Green light people, and if you fail at business, it's your own fault, not because the government tripped you up.
Right?
I agree. 100%, Dale. I agree 100%. A state-run cannabis shop just tells me there's going to be really poor education in there for the consumer, and it's just going to be bad for everybody. I'm so against that model. I
mean, well, their medical stores are state-run. Or no, they're not. Never mind. They're not state-run. Not like that. Not like that. Yeah. Their alcohol is. Sorry, my bad. Yeah.
Well, let them have that.
What do you think about this, Rachelle? Pennsylvania, the land of the green corn out there is what the Amish call it.
I agree that a state-run model is not ideal, but I'll play devil's advocate. And it's like, is some form of legal weed better than no legal weed?
See, now that's a cute question, and oftentimes advocates get kicked up on that. And so I would say this is that it was better under Proposition 215 in California than it was with Prop 64. So therefore, I think it can be better with no legislation as opposed to bad legislation.
Fair.
All right.
Well, yeah, but that's the argument about the perfect being the enemy of the good. What's perfect and what's good? I mean, right now, there's nothing good in any system I've seen across the whole country. They all have their problems, and it starts with the federal illegality. No one really quite knows what to do with that. And if we get the feds out of the way, I think this would be a lot easier. But, the government involvement, there's no other industry that they really have this kind of a chokehold. Alcohol is not even close.
Yeah.
And I think the general public is ready to understand that smoking weed's a lot safer than drinking alcohol.
Right.
Let's just start there. And that you make a hell of a lot more money off of alcohol if you just let everybody get, permit or temporary licenses to move it around and sell it. Just get the hell out. The bootleggers are gone.
Yeah.
Okay. Out of alcohol. We need the bootleggers equivalent in the cannabis industry to go away. And that happens when you just get the hell out of the way and let this thing run itself.
I'm with you. I'm all about the free and open marketplace, Dale. I'm with you all the way, all day on that. And, I think it's super interesting that he's like, hey, you know what? State-run stores, we're good. You know what I mean? He's about true Republican values in that sense, is where he sounds like to me like he wants less government, Dale.
Well, yeah, but when you talk about somebody's values, okay, one person's values are somebody else's yick factor.
That's true.
How do you really throw that into the mix? I'm look at the Democratic base here. If the voters want something, okay, you should try to find a way to give it to them. And across the country, voters are going, hey, we want this to happen. And we want the unregulated market to be toned down till it goes away. And how do we do that? And they keep coming up with these just rectally myopic ideas. I don't know how they're supposed to work.
They don't either.
Yep. And any final thoughts on this, Rachelle?
I mean, hopefully they can figure it out next time around, but Pennsylvania's been pushing this for a long time, and there's always some sort of hang up. So we'll see what happens next time, I guess.
Yeah, how about that 102 to 101 vote in the House? Man.
A lot like how it went down in Minnesota, honestly.
Yeah, it's like nail biting if you're sitting there. Like if you're the whip and you're just like counting the votes and you already have your predestined. It's like, oh man, it's got to be so nerve wracking right there, just waiting for those votes to get tallied. Man. And on that, we are going to roll into our first commercial, and we are going to be right back.
Oh man, your knees still bothering you, man?
Yeah, my left one, And I'll tell you what, I've been using this new CBD cream, and it works like a miracle.
CBDs? I done heard about them CBDs. I was out there on them Twitters the other day, and I heard they get you high as a kite.
Well, not this stuff. This stuff is tested. Every batch, all the way through, pharmaceutical grade, and in a GMP certified facility. So you're not going to have to worry about flying high.
GMP certified? I might have to try some of this out. Where I'm even find this?
You go directly to aimhighhemp.com and they will ship it to your door right away. Test it. It's not a name, it's a promise.
Oh, and we are back, you guys. I'm gonna have to fill you guys in on that on the next commercial break. But I'm gonna roll into the second story. You're gonna love this, Stone, because this is just, all right. Because the New York budget, they eliminate $229,000 salary of Cannabis Control Board chair, you guys. That's right. The state budget being adopted this week will eliminate the $229,000 a year salary for Tremaine Wright, a former state assemblywoman who was appointed chair of the Cannabis Control Board by Governor Kathy Hochul in September of 2021. It's unclear why the annual salary for the position was eliminated, although salaries that high for state government board positions are rare. The other 4 members of the Cannabis Control Board receive $260 stipends on the days they attend meetings and events. Wow, what a big pay gap. The removal of the chairperson's salary was quietly slipped into a budget bill and was not the subject of any public debate by lawmakers. The decision follows last year's massive leadership shakeup of the Office of Cannabis Management that included Hochul asking Chris Alexander, the first executive director of the Office of Cannabis Management, to step down following a month-long review of his handling of the troubled rollout of New York's retail marijuana industry. It's unclear whether Wright, who was elected to the assembly in 2016 for a Brooklyn district, will remain on the Cannabis Control Board, and she is an attorney, and after running unsuccessfully for state senate, had served as the first director of the Department of Financial Services statewide Office of Financial Inclusion and Empowerment. And Wright is an attorney and small business owner and previously served as the chair of New York State Black, Puerto Rican, Hispanic, and Asian Legislative Caucus. She also practiced law at Brooklyn Legal Services and private firms after graduating from Duke University and the University of Chicago Law School. Wright could not be reached for comment on Wednesday, and last year's outside review of the embattled cannabis agency's operations had revealed widespread problems that triggered what state officials said will be a major overhaul after litigation, poor communication, and a stalled licensing system that hobbled the establishment of New York's retail marijuana industry. In a quote, they say, "We're going to transform the OCM itself. It's past time for OCM to move from a startup mode into a fully operational regulatory agency," Hochul said a year ago. Hochul announced Alexander's departure last year, which was first reported by the Times-Union and during a news conference at the Capitol that took place as he had and other cannabis officials were listening to public comments during a monthly Cannabis Control Board meeting occurring at the same time. Hochul has said he would assist with the leadership transition before pursuing other opportunities, but that arrangement apparently fell apart and Alexander left the position abruptly last summer. The overhaul of the troubled cannabis office included taking steps to improve communications with stakeholders, expedite the filing of vacant positions, and ensuring that applicants for licenses were no longer left twisting in the wind for months or longer. The outside report issued by a task force led by Jeanette M. Moy, commissioner of the task force, or Commissioner of the Office of the General Services, faulted the Cannabis office's relatively inexperienced leadership, in a quote, and lack of centralized operations, among other issues. Wright had escaped any criticism of her leadership of the board, even as Alexander's tenure had been rocky from the start, and a mountain of litigation, regulatory missteps, allegations of favoritism for some retail industry applicants, and repeated missed deadlines have overshadowed the rollout of an industry that more than 3 years after marijuana was legalized has seen just more than 120 shops across the state. The rollout was further harmed by the proliferation of illicit marijuana shops that exploded across the state, and they have been fueled in part by the lawmakers' decision to immediately legalize marijuana possession when the law was passed back in April of 2021. Long before the retail market would begin taking shape, many law enforcement agencies have been reluctant to target those shops or street sales because of the decriminalization of the drug and criticism the marijuana arrests for decades had unfairly impacted minority communities. A former OCM official who spoke on the condition of not being identified told the Times-Union last year that Alexander had frequently rejected advice and recommendations as regulations, and including those intended to prioritize social equity applicants, were being put in place outside of the boundaries of the 2021 law. It was many of those changes, the person said, that became the target of multiple lawsuits that temporarily shut down the rollout due to court orders and decisions by judges who found they were unlawful or unconstitutional. That person said there was also a culture of favoritism within the industry, you guys. Well. It sounds like Doge just came to New York to the Office of Cannabis Management, and they're finally getting some efficiencies. And how about $229,000 salary, and the other commissioners are just getting paid $260 every time they show up? I can't wait to hear what you guys have to say about this.
Kind of smells, doesn't it?
Oh, man.
Smells a little bit of favoritism here.
Smells like a big old turd in the punch bowl, Dale.
Oh, man. Well, it's not unusual to see somebody come out of politics and maybe you did somebody some favors along the way. And next thing you get some really low-hanging fruit job and you get overpaid for it. I mean, what's this woman? I mean, just because you smoke pot when you're a teenager doesn't mean you're qualified to run an agency that oversees cannabis.
Yeah.
It's just hard to understand this, but it happens all over the country.
And it sounds like while she was the director of the Office of Cannabis Management, she was still operating her private practice at the same time too.
Well, some people just escape scrutiny for doing all kinds of underhanded shit. I mean, if the job is part-time, okay, then cool. You can be a counsel or have your own firm. But if that's your job and you're getting, 229 racks a year.
Yeah.
To do this, that's a full-time salary. It's like, whoa, can somebody give me a job like that?
Yeah, it's a hell of a part-time job there, Dale.
That's crazy. Yeah. That's good. Hey, let's not forget, New York went from we're going to show California how it's done.
Yeah.
To where are we 3 years later?
Not to mention they got they got in a whole Twitter war with the New Jersey Office of Cannabis Management too, saying how, you know what I'm saying, and that was one of my favorites. Like I hope to see something like that again. That was fantastic.
Joke.
Man, so good. What do you think, Rachelle? What do you think about this big old pay gap? You know what I'm saying?
I mean, I have always felt that government bureaucrats are paid far too handsomely for what they do. And considering the wealth disparities in our country and how much like all the little minions and peons within the government get paid, I think definitely a disparity. And I'm not, going to say my opinions on Doge or anything, but this cut feels warranted.
I'm with you. I think it's more than warranted, and I find it interesting that they didn't even have any debate in regards to it. It sounds like it was like unanimous consent on this that it was time for this individual to go.
Yeah, somebody brought some pizza and closed the door and said, she's got to go.
Yeah,
let's do it.
Exactly.
Go out and pull the plug on this woman. But there's some councilwoman up in Illinois, if I remember right. This ding dong is making, 300 large a year and just got the credit card out. It's like, this is our money.
Yeah.
Okay. Can you at least try to be efficient with our money? Because you fucked it up 6 ways from Sunday and you're overpaid. So now where do we go from there? And, I keep hearing, we've got budget. We don't have enough money to pay. Well, okay. Maybe we should take a look at how much people are getting paid and whether they're accomplishing what they're getting paid for. Because if not, in business, you just get shown the door. Okay. That's what it sounds like here. There's the door.
Yeah.
Don't let it hit you on the way out.
Exactly right. Man. I just can't believe that economic disparity, that pay gap ratio going on, man. All those, hundreds of dollars to hundreds of thousands of dollars. I mean, I wonder if she was taken out by the other commissioners because of that. They were like, you know what, this is totally unfair. This is crazy. We're only getting paid $260 every time we show up, and not even $260 an hour.
No.
Oh man,
this is hard to defend. I mean, you can't defend this with a straight face.
No.
I mean, if this is what Doge was looking for, and I think we'd all be on board with everything they do. Okay, because this is the kind of efficiency just needs to be taken away.
Yeah.
And this is not ham-fisted. This is a scalpel. She's got to go.
She's got to go. Boom. Yep. It's got to go, man. Bye. And, congratulations, New Yorkers. It also sounds, Dale, too, that she was responsible for all of these lawsuits, her decisions.
Well, of course. I mean, and I talked about this yesterday about due process. Okay. And we set up rules. And if you go beyond the rules, it's like, hey, I had noticed that these were the rules. You're doing something else. Okay. Now you're affecting my property rights. And I'm going to go sue your ass for it. And they should. That's what the courts are about. And they're there to check the power of legislatures and Congress and even the executives. Here's a line, you stepped over it. You got to get back. Right? And it's what just boggles my mind is going back to Mayor LaGuardia in the 40s. And the Schaffer report in the early 1970s said, small scale, commerce and cannabis, just get the out of the way. Okay. Stop this stuff. And they never listen. All right. This is basically small scale cannabis, Why? Just get out of the way. You can't stop it anyway. That's what they just do not want to understand. You can make all the laws you want. People are going to buy and sell weed when they want to.
Yep.
So why do you keep making more laws you can't enforce? It's just mind boggling. And, it used to be a steady Republican principle that we need regulations, but target them, watch them, make over-regulated shit. And we end up with nonsense like this. And it really needs to have this stuff strangled. That's what Reagan strangled this shit. Don't pay for it anymore.
Yeah. Well, we're going to keep this train rolling. We're going to roll right into attorney at law, Mr. Dale Schaffer. Dale has been an attorney since the Reagan administration. He has represented physicians, hospitals, insurance companies, cops, corrections officers, and for the last 25 years, he specialized in cannabis law. He served a 5-year federal prison sentence and managed to keep his law license. He is blunt. He's honest. He's unconcerned with public opinions and especially yours, and he will show you how to defy gravity by pissing up a rope. That's right. It's another your favorite Tio Loco, and you can now find him at his own law office at the law office of Dale Schaffer. It is none other than Mr. Dale Schaffer.
Good morning, everybody. Once again, favorite Tio Loco and full of shiticus. The latest news. This comes out of Marijuana Moment. Came out yesterday. Kyle Yeager wrote it. The headline is Trump's VA secretary tells senators that psychedelics have potential to mitigate veteran suicide crisis. Thankfully, someone's saying this part out loud. Now, the VA secretary is Doug Collins, and he was testifying before a Senate Veterans Affairs Committee, where, of course, you should expect to find the VA secretary talking about this. And for those of us that are veterans, and you've had any contact after you were released, you know that veterans are suffering from PTSD, from traumatic brain injuries, and a whole host of other conditions. But there's some big ones here. PTSD has been the big one. I mean, my war was Vietnam. We had people that lost their goddamn minds all over the place. They had them on Thorazine, and you could tell them a mile away because they had the shuffle. Okay, when you have those kinds of conditions, I don't think we should have handcuffs on research. Now, I know a ton of veterans that are 100% disabled from PTSD right now and other types of brain malfunctions after war. And without anybody's permission, they went out and started doing things like ketamine and ayahuasca, DMT, dosing psilocybin, taking acid. And what they found was they got resets in their brain. And, you know, I've talked to a bunch of them about what happens, and it's hard to put it into clinically acceptable terms, okay? But they received benefits. They had less suicidal ideations, all right? They were able to handle the depression, the triggered anxiety, the lack of sleep, things like that. And, of course, cannabis helps a lot with this, too. So at the end of the Biden administration, the head of the VA was talking up VA's interest in funding research into veterans and the use of psychedelics. Now, this was well known just after the Second World War, when the CIA was looking for a truth serum and trying every plant-based product they could think of, and they stumbled upon the efficacy of these psychedelics, they called them, in major depressions. And the research just started to roll. And Timothy Leary is one of those researchers, but unfortunately, he pissed off the establishment, and Nixon decided that we're going to put all these psychedelics in Schedule 1. And you can discuss all the reasons it might be there, from being just some crazy old fucker with his head up his ass, to just wanting to go after the hippies and the blacks and things like that, which we know happened. The end result was we have Schedule 1 where all the psychedelics went. Effectively stopped the research. And they just put it into a closet somewhere. Well, MDMA was one of the first ones. It's an amphetamine. Came out, and therapists loved it because it just dumped so much serotonin. People couldn't stand each other, like married couples, to be in the counseling session. And then you get therapy. It worked very well. They're finding the same thing happens now for veterans who had their brains shook during the deployments. Okay? And what I'm hopeful for is that Doug Collins is saying this on the record in Congress, that we're going to continue to fund this stuff because the efficacy is right there in front of you. Stevie Wonder can see how well this works. How do we put this into dosage, teach therapists how to use it? They're even talking about giving vouchers for some of these states who have approved programs already. Okay? This is encouraging for me. Bobby Kennedy, as much as he's controversial in a lot of areas, has stepped forward and said, look, we need to get our head out of our ass about these natural plant-based products that have been around for thousands of years. Their efficacy has been noted for thousands of years. And we've got to take a look at that period in our history from the 1960s up until now, where people had this knee-jerk reaction to throw it all into a prohibited use category and bring it out, dust it off, and how do we use it? Because the efficacy is not even in question anymore. These are touted as hallucinogenics. Sure, at decent levels, they will cause you to hallucinate, but there's microdoses people use all the time that help them reset their brain. We need more research on this, and I'm very happy to hear that the VA secretary is pushing for this, because the veterans need it, and what you learn from the veterans can be applied to the general community. I'm going to throw this back at you. your comments and your thoughts.
Well, I'm friends with Doug Collins and have been for a while now. And Doug Collins has always had a super open mind to all of these things, and I know that he definitely does want the best. And so I totally agree with you, Dale, in regards that hearing him say these things is just fantastic. I think the veterans are really going to be served well under his leadership, and I am looking for major improvements within the VA healthcare system overall during his tenure there. I can't say enough great things about Doug Collins, and even when he doesn't know about in particular issues or whatnot, he has a super willingness to learn and hear the other side's argument in relation to before he makes his final opinion. And so I really want to congratulate him on that. Like I said, I can't say enough great things about him. And the stipend program that you mentioned, Dale, that just sounds like a phenomenal idea to help out these local, what we would maybe call them laboratories of democracy, in essence, in these different municipalities, to be able to help these guys, because our veterans 100% deserve it.
Well, of course, I agree.
Yeah.
And the states are the laboratory for democracy. Mm-hmm. Okay. And one of the problems I continue to have, I don't think the federal government has any goddamn business in this. I don't think they have the constitutional authority to be telling states what they can and can't do.
That'd be an interesting argument.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But for the places where it is taking effect, I have worked with some entrepreneurs in the past who have made microdoses available for people to use that are getting these substances into the hands of people who need it, not because they want to. I mean, we stick acid to go to concerts. Okay, Don't get me wrong. That's a whole different story here. But when I got out of the military and I had seen people who just lost their goddamn minds in combat or whatever it was, what do you do with these folks? You just lock them up and give them Thorazine all day? How about you give them a life, allow them to smoke some weed, maybe, microdose under controlled, situations till they get better and learn how to do it, and give them a life back. I'm all for that. And the government should just get the hell out of the way.
I'm totally with it. What do you have any thoughts? Stone, you started to say something, but I think you are on mute, buddy.
I was on mute, man. I props to Doug Collins. This is huge for the veterans, in my opinion. If a single dose and a couple of weeks of therapy can save your life, why are we still tiptoeing around like it's 1971? I'm not a big fan of Rick Perry, but he did a lot for standing up for psychedelics in Texas. And,
he did,
and has a good program going for that here too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What do you think about this, Rachelle?
I mean, I'm always glad to hear any sort of conversation or progress around psychedelics, especially for veterans. There are so many veteran suicides every day, and they're the ones who are risking their lives and dying for our country. Like, the least we can do is give them medicine that will help. And it's really great to see that, even though cannabis is not as much of a bipartisan issue anymore, but still being so hotly debated, that psychedelics tend to break through, especially on the conservative side. So and it's interesting because even a year or two ago at psychedelic events, it was interesting to hear people talk about medicinal psilocybin and other psychedelics comparatively to medical marijuana, right? It seems like people are a lot more in favor of clinical use of psilocybin versus the clinical use of cannabis, which I find very interesting.
I think it's because clinical cannabis just has a bad name because Oneida and the fact that they've always produced low quality cannabis, and people just can't take the government serious in relation with that. I wonder if that plays into it at all.
I'm sure. And also just the fact that, like, what I always heard was that, people can't really decide about what cannabis is and what it isn't. Is it a drug? Is it recreational adult use? Is it medical, right? Like, there's so much controversy around, like, the smoking and the culture. Whereas because psychedelics have really remained in this sort of like medicinal clinical lane, I think it's been easier for people to accept that as a medicine. Like medicinal.
Whoa, sorry about that.
Well, politics is still the overarching problem here. Psychedelics were made illegal primarily because of Tim Leary. Okay? And I think that Nixon was pissed off that Tim Leary blew up the old 1937 Marijuana Tax Act in the Supreme Court, and he was pissed off. But it was clear, okay, what the Controlled Substances Act did, and we've got people inside administration, they went after the hippies with weed, and they went after blacks with heroin, and they stuck it in those categories. And despite what Nixon told us, oh, we're going to research this, and he was lying through his teeth. He set up a culture where anybody that took a look at cannabis, if you didn't come back with something negative to say, you were off the list. That's what happened to Raymond Schaffer, who wrote that Schaffer Commission report. He said, hey, why are we fucking with cannabis? Leave this shit alone. Yeah. And Nixon said, if you don't write a report that takes the ass out of this, you're done. Yep. And he wouldn't do it because the facts didn't support it, like the LaGuardia facts didn't support it. But we got this political stigma, and we just can't shake it. And it goes into this mindset, this is sinful behavior, okay? No, it's not. It's no more sinful than having a cocktail or a beer, right? Stop that. This is not heroin. We're not forcing opium on the Chinese or anything like that. That's horrible history, what we did. We don't have any sensible policies around drugs. It's fucking schizophrenic in this country. It's politically still motivated in ways that is hard to understand, other than my mommy told me it was bad, and by God, I'm not going to make it good. What do you do with somebody like that? And I've had meetings interrupted by some fanatical Christian nut who jumps up and starts screaming and yelling that you're talking about making this is horrible sin. How dare you blaspheme the Lord and shit. It's like, holy fuck, what do you do with stuff like that? Yeah. And it permeates this still. If you would step back and put on your, objective thinking cap, none of this would go forward. But that's not the era that we're in. We're in schizophrenia land. We've broken through with cannabis. But still, how tight a vote does it take in Pennsylvania when you can walk around the corner and buy a bag of weed? Exactly. Legal market. It's like, come on, guys. We're playing in a sandbox here. It makes absolutely no sense. Can we stop this? And the answer is, well, maybe not.
Yeah, Dale. I would say that Nixon told him to get this report done or hit the high road. What do you think about that, Stone Slade?
I see what you did there.
You see what I did there?
Go to ATX and think about
it. Any final thoughts on this, Rachelle?
We're moving.
All right. We're rolling into our next commercial, and we are going to be right back. Oh, yeah, and we are back. Stop whatever you're doing. Make sure you smash that like button. I know we'll appreciate it. You'll appreciate it, and YouTube will appreciate it. Also, make sure you subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed already. And all of the articles that we cover on today's show, you can read directly on our website at www.highatnightnews.com. I just ordered the summertime strawberry salad when added steak on top here at Anna's. Make sure you do the same thing too next time you're in downtown Long Beach. Come on down and check out Anna's joint on the 400 block of Pine Street. They have amazing selection of beers, foods, and when you come down here to Anna's, you can even challenge me to a game of shuffleboard if you want to lose. Get that? So, next time you're in downtown Long Beach on Pine Avenue, make sure you stop by Anna's Joint on the 400 block. Not only do they have Anna's Joint, this restaurant and bar, but they also have the amazing deli next door, and then next door to that they have a very exotic flower shop. You may want to stop by and say hi. And we are back, you guys. And thank you to the C Word who just threw in a super chat who says hippies left an incredible foul mark on drugs that will take ages to erase. If they didn't act like animals, we'd have LSD available at Rite Aid. Oh man, see where you got jokes
He is
today.
in the parking lot.
Yeah. Oh man, we're gonna keep this train rolling. We're gonna roll right in to Mr. Stone Slade. He's out there in the great red state of Texas, and he is the founder of Hitting the High Road, which is a cannabis travel show that you guys should definitely check out sometime, or maybe we'll be producing sometime very soon. You never know. Here, hitting the high road while he's hitting that Delta 8 pen, it is none other than Mr. Stone Slade. Yeah.
Oh, Jason, keep your Delta 8 off of me, bro. All right. So the Texas government doesn't understand cannabis unless it comes prepackaged in a pharmaceutical bottle with a lobbyist business card taped to it. Here we are again. Senate Bill 3 or SB 3 has made its way through the sausage grinder. And even after amendments and supposed compromises, it's still a raw deal for the Texas hemp industry. Now, to be fair, this isn't the total ban that we were looking at earlier in the session from Dan Patrick, where lawmakers wanted to outlaw every molecule of THC like it was fentanyl laced with communism. The House made some tweaks, tossed in a few crumbs to appease the outrage. Delta 9 edibles and beverages, they get to live on for another day, at least for now. But let's not kid ourselves. This thing still bans smokable flower and vape products, backbone of the current hemp market. And in doing so, the lawmakers are throwing a wrench into thousands of small businesses across the state, the kinds of shops that pay their taxes, follow the rules, and provide safer alternatives to the sketchy gas station garbage that this law supposedly wants to get rid of. And let's talk about that logic for a second. Lawmakers say they're worried about the kids getting high. Sure, that is a valid concern, but let's not pretend the problem is coming from licensed hemp dispensaries. These shops have been age gating since day one, long before Texas even bothered to require it, which this bill does. So what happens when you ban legal regulated products? You don't kill demand. You just shove it straight into the arms of the illicit market where there's no one checking IDs and no one testing what's in the bag. You'd think a bunch of folks who love their guns would understand this principle. Banning something that doesn't make it go away, it just takes it out of the hands of law-abiding citizens and puts it in the hands of people who don't care about the law in the first place. That's what this bill does. It's the cannabis equivalent of telling Texans they can't own guns while pretending that the cartels will politely turn theirs in. Meanwhile, the people actually harmed by SB 3 aren't shady characters in back alleys. They're veterans, cancer patients, working moms with anxiety, and aging folks just trying to sleep through the night without a cocktail of prescription pills. They're the small business owners you see at the farmer's market or running the shop down the street. These are the people who built this industry, an industry that, let's be honest, only exists in this because the state drags their feet on real cannabis reform in the first place. So let me get this straight. Texas refused to legalize adult use cannabis. The state won't decriminalize, even though cities keep trying. And now with SB 3, they're coming for hemp too. If you're in the regulated hemp industry, you've been playing the game by the book. You've tested your products, registered with the state, and tried to stay on the right side of constantly the shifting line. And how does the state reward that? By moving the goalpost and lighting the field on fire. There's one word for that. It's not regulation, it's sabotage. At the end of the day, this bill isn't about protecting Texans, it's about control. Control over an industry that they never wanted in the first place. And if SB 3 becomes law, don't be surprised when the dangerous products they're so worried about, because they're still going to be everywhere. Only now they'll be cheaper, sketchier, and coming from someone who doesn't pay their taxes or check IDs. But at least the Capitol did something they can pat themselves on the back for. Too bad that something might kill an $8 billion industry and put tens of thousands of Texans out of work. I'm Stone Slade for the High at 9 News.
Man, Stone Slade, man. This is, I can't believe that they're really trying to axe this whole thing. And you're so right. You know what I mean? The people are still going to go and buy the products, whether they're going and buying them in stores or buying them off some corner, or, you know what I'm saying? Just buying them off the internet and have them shipped straight to their door. They're never going to be able to stop it.
That was one of the arguments too when I went down in the testimony. Mm-hmm. So operators are like, dude, like if this passes, yeah, I'm just going to move over to another state and I'm going to ship it here. Yeah. So like, this is pointless. You're just going to kill businesses for no reason.
It's sad. It's sad.
Why they can't get this? It just dumbfounds, because I've made the same statements to legislators and councilmen and supervisors here in California until you're just blue in the face. It's like, you guys can't stop this. Best thing to do is to, not ride it like a bucking bronco, is, lead it so that people can actually get what they want, and you can have at least some semblance of oversight over the testing, make sure that it's not sold to children, things like that. But, they will not listen. And the default's always let the cops handle it because it's illegal. Well, you took every cop, and I'll say this again, if you took every cop in this country and asked them to go and enforce prohibitions against cannabis and hemp too, they couldn't do it, and they'd have to walk away from what I call real crime, rape, robbery, murder, shit like that, the stuff that the community's going, hey, protect us from that. No, we're going to stop somebody from rolling a joint and smoking it. It's just so short-sighted. And you can say it over and over again. They go behind closed doors and chat and come out and vote to just do the stupidest shit. And this is just stupid shit. It's going to fan the flames of the unregulated market. They were right. And if it's hemp, it's federally legal.
Yeah.
So what are you going to do?
It's all THCA. It's all THCA, Dale. It's all THCA. I think I could even be a lawyer and argue that in court. No problem. Easy peasy. Self-explanatory. What do you think?
When we define hemp as Delta 9,
it's okay. That's what I'm saying.
Did you go talk to a fucking chemist about this?
Yeah.
What an isomer is? I mean, come on, dude. I took chemistry a long time ago, but I still remember these are just isomers of the chemical that you're trying to eliminate. And if you're not specific enough, then some asshole lawyer like me is going to go and argue, hey, it's not Delta 9.
Yeah.
Good luck.
What do you think, Rachelle? Big Texas. I mean, your husband's in the hemp space.
Yeah, I mean, I really hope that all of this big talk about these hemp bans or restrictive regulations end up just fizzling out. Part of me wonders if they're just out there flexing, oh yeah, we see this as a problem, but then hopefully they understand that by passing these, they're putting hardworking Texans at risk of losing their jobs and their livelihoods. And it seems to me like Republicans are usually pro-business, right? Yeah. And so I would assume that they'll do the sensible thing and fizzle it out. But it is Texas, so it's hard to say. But I'm really keeping my fingers crossed that they can come up with something sensible moving forward.
I'm with you. I mean, the sensible thing to me is, child safety on packaging, you know what I'm saying? Sales for 21 and over. And however they're going to define not marketing to children, I think is going to be interesting. But I think just leave it at that and call it a day. And you know what I'm saying? It's all THCA. And we're not saying THC, hey.
It's all hemp until
even. Go ahead, Rachelle. Sorry.
No, I just said it's all hemp until it isn't.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, exactly.
And
the age gating too. Like I said, all the good shops have been age gating since day one. It's a common sense law that's not a law.
It's a common sense approach, because I don't think anybody, any responsible business operator, I don't believe is trying to sell things to kids or give things to kids. There are some bad operators out there for sure. I know we covered a story earlier this week in regards to a guy that sold to an undercover minor and whatnot. But those are outliers amongst the whole community, and you can't make you know what I'm saying, one bad example the preface for everybody, and just blanket everybody as that. I don't agree with that type of a mindset policy at all whatsoever.
That's the exception proving the rule.
Exactly.
And it's
exactly.
crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yep. Exactly.
Most people want things we're talking about right here. Safe products. You want it so kids can't get into it.
Yep.
And don't sell it to kids. And the whole marketing, of not to kids, that, quite frankly, I wish they would stop marketing all kinds of drugs and pharmaceuticals.
Yeah.
Period. But what does it mean to appeal to children? Well, I don't think we figured that one out.
All those pharmaceutical commercials, technically, as far as I'm concerned, appeal to children because they all have like different cartoons for the drugs and a different character and whatnot. So, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Songs that get in your head and they permeate those singles.
Yeah. Some of them
characters, they're doing dances.
Yeah, some of them are like a little superhero with a cape on and stuff, and like, you know what I mean? Like that to me, that's is that advertising to children too? And so why are pharmaceutical companies advertising to children on television?
Mom, what's Prozac?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And if your doctor's that stupid he doesn't know that, maybe you shouldn't be practicing medicine.
Mm-hmm.
And I was in Winco the other day, and there's an aisle with toys for children, and right behind it's the alcohol aisle.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, well, what does advertising to children mean? Does it mean putting toys right next to alcohol? Is that advertising to children?
It's crazy.
It seems to be that makes more objective sense. And, it's the color. It reminds them of, Sesame Street characters, whatever. Oh, shut the up.
Exactly.
And be a parent, If you have things in the house that you don't want your children to have, it's your responsibility to put them someplace where they can't get to them. And if they try to get to them, it's your responsibility to start the discipline process. Like, I'll kick your ass if you touch that again, you little shit.
Yep. Yep.
Where's the parent's responsibility here? You cannot fix every problem you can identify in the world.
Yeah.
We can't.
Yep.
So
I agree
pull up
with
your seatbelt, bitch, and get ready for the real world.
Oh, yes. And on that, we are going to roll into our next final commercial, and we are going to be right back.
Oh, man, your knees still bothering you, man?
Yeah, my left one, And I'll tell you what, I've been using this new CBD cream, and it works like a miracle.
CBDs? I done heard about them CBDs. I was out there on them Twitters the other day, and I heard they get you high as a kite.
Well, not this stuff. This stuff is tested. Every batch, all the way through, pharmaceutical grade. And in a GMP certified facility, so you're not going to have to worry about flying high.
GMP certified? I might have to try some of this out. Where I'm even find this?
You go directly to aimhighhemp.com and they will ship it to your door right away. Tested. It's not a name, it's a promise.
Big D.
Oh, boys. Man. All right, coming up next, we're going to roll right in to Miss Rachelle Gordon. She's the editor over at Green State Magazine, and she is a world-renowned Lego champ and travels the country at all of these amazing cannabis on behalf of Green State. It is none other than Miss Rachelle Gordon.
Hey, friends. Glad to be here again. My story this week comes from Green State's senior content producer, Kara Wheatstock, and it's all about how the economy is affecting cannabis shopping habits. Let's dive in. Tariffs and rising prices are impacting many American industries, weed included. Things have gotten tighter recently, but the high cost of goods and services started before the new year. Small businesses and corporations are figuring out how to survive. People have shifted their buying habits to adjust to realistic budgets on everything from groceries to cannabis. The Sanctuary Wellness Institute released an extensive poll that detailed exactly how people are spending on weed. The Institute surveyed over 1,000 people aged 21 to 74 on their cannabis purchasing preferences in February 2025. Half were women, and the average age was about 42. Of this group, 56% have shifted their buying habits to adjust to the rising cost of living. The Institute did not share how it gathered poll data from respondents, including what states they live in. This information is essential in understanding the full scope of the results. There is still much to be learned from what they gathered. Most dispensary shoppers are sacrificing quantity over quality these days. The poll asked consumers to share their current buying preferences compared to previous years. For 28% of those polled, price is a key priority right now. 40% of respondents are buying smaller amounts at each purchase compared to their previous shopping habits. 9% are buying less, lower quality flower than they used to. 7% are buying lower quality, but not fewer grams per purchase. That was not all gleaned from the extensive survey. Cannabis consumers average around $99 per purchase and buy about an eighth of an ounce of a flower at a time. 1 in 5 prefer to buy an eighth, while 13% of respondents liked purchasing an ounce at one visit. 1 in 10 people buys at least 3 strains in each purchase. Cannabis business owners can glean that consumers are still seeking variety, but perhaps more budget-friendly eighths than top-shelf dank right now. Those who have lived through multiple economic crashes are riding this wave out to the other side, and everyone else is too. While they do, many will tighten their purses and adjust their budgets. Cannabis companies that cater their product offerings and pricing to fit these new guidelines may benefit from the effort. So I'm curious what you guys think about this. I'm very confused by the part that said cannabis consumers average around $99 per purchase, and they're only buying an eighth, which makes me think that the people who were surveyed for this tended to come from high tax, high cost areas like Illinois. Because I would say, in how many markets are you still paying $100 for an eighth after tax?
Yeah, that's a great analysis on that, Rachelle. I mean, even the highest, eighths at the beginning of legalization, that would have been like $88-$90 in California out here, what I'm saying, maybe like 60-65 at the most. You know what I mean? And that's even with the tax increases. The price compression has happened a lot, like wholesale, some of those eighths were going for like $35, and those people have had to lower their prices a lot just to be able to compete and still be able to sell their product on the on the legalized market.
Yeah, it's always a race to the bottom, right?
Yeah, it always is. You know what I mean? Start off high, you're going to end up low, and you know what I mean? Just hope you can keep your flow going.
Well, the alcohol industry has studied similar buying habits for years, and there was a wine model that came out a couple of years back. I think the average bottle of wine was like $6 or $7. Like 60 to 70% of the people were buying wine in that level or lower, and the higher end products were sold a lot less, and because they were just more expensive. And in the cannabis space right now, the higher end products are very expensive. And people on the lower end, I think they're going to follow more the wine model, looking for a value as opposed to the prettiest stuff or the dankest stuff, whatever term you want to use. And I've got clients out here in California who went right for the low cost model. Higher volume, lower profit margin, move more product. It may not be as pretty, it still gets you high, and you move a lot more product. I think as the industry matures, we'll see patterns like that. When we can get the unregulated market out of the way, we could actually follow it. I think the prices people will be spending for moderate to low cost products because that's just what they can afford. And there'll always be connoisseurs who look for the dankest stuff and the highest priced products, but the price point will be much lower, but you'll be able to sell more products. So there would be the goal and reward.
Yeah, I think those high-end customers that you're referencing, Dale, is like 1 to 5% of the overall market in cannabis overall. Is those people that are going to come in and they're going to spend $300 on a half ounce. You know what I mean? Kind of a thing. Like those you find them every now and again, and those people are fantastic and probably some of your favorite customers and whatnot. But your average customer is coming in trying to buy like an eighth of Smalls. You know what I mean? For like maybe $30. Something like that, as opposed to, what I mean, buying like a regular eighth that they would pay, maybe $10 more, because like they're like, it all comes off the same plan, and you know what I'm saying, the Smalls are cheaper, the tastes good, you know what I'm saying, has the same THC percentage on the label, so you know what I'm saying. Such a joke, this THC percentage on the label, man, you guys, such BS.
Well, they don't really give you the full profile. I mean, they'll give you some, but you don't really get an understanding of all the cannabinoid and terpene profiles in it until you try it. And then, you become a more loyal customer if you can get the same product under the same label every time, which, is no guarantee in this industry. Yeah. People white label shit all the time. They sweep it up off the damn floor, put it in a bag, and send it out. Mass testing, it's good.
Yep. Yep. What do you think, Stone? I mean, you're out there in Texas. You see these kind of models every day. You know what I mean?
I'm in Texas, so I can say I buy from the regulated market.
What?
Yeah. He gets his stuff from the postman. Yeah.
It drops out of the sky like Texas hail. Right?
Yep.
That's right. Oh, yeah. I mean, it is what it is. I obviously the majority of consumers are going to be that budget, not really know what they're getting, going to fall for the high THC label.
Yeah.
It is what it is. But I personally haven't seen it through my sources.
Yeah. Well, you say, Dale, you bring up that wine reference. I mean, I think that's because so much 2 Buck Chuck had been sold, is it kind of dropped those prices down, because I know that's like one of the most popular wine commodities or wine SKUs out there is that 2 Buck Chuck over at Trader Joe's. And if you're selling that for $2 versus people selling stuff for, $40, $30 a bottle, that's going to drop that average a lot.
Well, and people need to pay attention to the consumers and how much available cash they have. Now, they want a product and they've got $50 in their pocket, and the product is $50 for one label, and you can buy 2 of them for $50 on another label. That ain't rocket science. What are you going to do? You're going to get twice as much. So, my family ran liquor stores, okay, and they had to look at the same thing. And how do you price stuff to move product? And, people wanted alcohol, and they didn't want it to be too nasty unless you're a drunk and you'll drink anything you find in the gutter.
Yeah.
But, you target towards the average buyer. You put in front of them what they are using their pocketbook to tell you want, or they want, and you appeal to your customer.
Yep.
And then you just keep your finger on the pulse and take studies like this and say, okay, where's the average price? And get it out to your members and say the average price is here. Think about that, market towards those. That's a mature market. And I'm hoping that before I die, we find a fucking mature cannabis market in this country.
Fair enough. Any final thoughts on this, Rachelle or Stone? All right. Fair enough. We're going to roll into this final story of the day, you guys, on this Thursday, May 8th. And I do want to wish a happy birthday to my cousin Kathy. Today is her birthday, so happy birthday, Kathy. And man, this Stone, you're gonna love this. This story's for you too, buddy. Because a Florida cornerback, Dijon Johnson, charged by police with possession of a gun and guess what, Stone, your favorite, synthetic marijuana. That's right.
Oh.
Johnson, 21, was booked early Saturday and released the night after posting an $8,500 surety bond, according to jail records. Police have charged Florida cornerback Dijon Johnson with 2 felonies, including possession of a firearm, and 2 misdemeanors after his arrest over the weekend while driving a car in Tampa, Florida. Police said they pulled over the car on Friday, surpassing a stop signal, and officers detected a strong odor of burnt marijuana, in quotation marks, and said Johnson was argumentative during the traffic stop. Does cannabis make you argumentative? Refusing to exit the gray Dodge Challenger, according to the criminal report filed in Hillsborough County. Johnson was removed from the car and placed into custody. They searched the vehicle and found marijuana and 8 grams of synthetic marijuana inside a backpack. A black Glock 19 loaded with 17 rounds and a magazine, and also was found in the car, according to the report. And the gun charge is a 2nd-degree felony, and possession of synthetic marijuana is a 3rd-degree felony. And the marijuana possession and resisting arrest without violence charges are misdemeanors. Attorney Tim Taylor told the Associated Press on Wednesday that Johnson has filed written pleas of not guilty to all charges, and he said in a statement that he would be released later in the day. And Coach Billy Napier said in a statement, the program is aware of the situation and says, we will continue to gather facts, cooperate with, and monitor the legal and administrative process, Napier said. Johnson, who's 21, was booked early Saturday and released the following night after posting the $8,500 surety bond, according to jail records. And a 6'1", 196-pound junior from Tampa, Johnson recorded 27 tackles and 2 pass breakups last season, you guys. Man, Man, it's a synthetic marijuana, bro. It sounds like a serious charge out there in Florida. Don't get caught with that out there. Third degree.
Couple big strikes there. First, you got pulled over with a gun and fake weed, man. That's terrible.
We got pulled over with some real weed too.
What's that?
He got pulled over with some real weed too.
Oh, did he? I thought it was just 8 grams of synthetic.
Here, let me pull up exactly what it said.
So what is this?
This is free legal advice. Don't break more than one law at a time, you dumbass. The fuck's wrong with you?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It says they searched the vehicle stone and found marijuana and 8 grams of synthetic marijuana inside a backpack. I wonder if that was like spray pack weed, the synthetic marijuana.
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering too.
You know?
Yeah.
Or was it like some like K2 or Spice or something like that? You know what I mean? That he would have purchased at a head shop even. You know what I mean? And
that's usually what I think when I hear synthetic. I usually think like K2 or Spice.
Yeah.
But the proliferation of intoxicating hemp products in Florida, like why the hell would he need something like that unless he's trying to go all like bath salt crazy in his
he's trying to go all the way turned up. But this says that the synthetic marijuana is a 3rd degree felony and the regular marijuana is just a misdemeanor.
Interesting.
Okay. What a message, huh? What a message.
Yeah, don't do synthetic weed, guys. You know what I'm saying? Message from High at 9. Don't do synthetic weed.
Ja Morant and ask him, what happens when you get caught with a gun?
Man.
What does it do to your career?
Right?
Maybe you should back up a little bit, get a better publicist and put out a message here that, you're not some hood rat that's, trying to do crazy shit.
Yeah.
You can figure this out. Because, I'm just going to tell you right now, if you are packing, you might be real careful about carrying around weed and synthetic weed products.
Yeah.
It's like, do you have a right to have a gun? But man, dude, this is just stupid.
I mean,
this sounds like teenage sons when I'd like, you did what? You dumb fuck. Now I got to bail your ass out of jail, you dumb fuck.
Yeah.
Did it say how old he is? Because he's
21. 21 it says. Right? 21, I think it said.
21?
Yeah. Yeah.
I was like,
man,
like a senior or something.
It's rough. Dude. I think he's a junior this year, is what it said.
Junior.
Yeah, he's a junior this year. Yep. That's
dumb.
I mean, Dale, in his gun charge, it sounds like he had pretty much everything except for one in the chamber.
Well, why are you riding around locked and loaded like that?
Yeah.
I guess that's a question. Are you that paranoid someone's going to do something to you? I mean, I don't know what the concealed carry rules are in Florida, and quite frankly, I don't care. But if you're that kind of strapped, you should be careful in the first goddamn place.
Yep.
Put your shit in the trunk or something, and don't be smoking while you're out driving around. There's like that's a stop in a parking lot, get out of the car, and smoke and get back in. Why would you put it inside the car? Because the cop ain't stupid; he could smell it.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm not smoking. Really, my fucking eyes are watering, dude. What are you talking?
And his bond for all this was only $8,500.
Yeah. Well, it's not serious, and that's what that's telling you.
Yeah.
But they still do it. I mean, and you bond out. I don't doubt he even had to see a magistrate. They just had a bail schedule, and you pay
exactly.
Let you go.
Yep.
A date to come back to be arraigned.
Yep.
It's not serious. The system is telling you it's not serious. But they continue to fuck with you over this stuff.
Yeah.
And I just don't know how to explain it because I think the public is getting a little tired of this kind of nonsense. There's crime out there going on, real crime going on.
And shout out to Steve Blessingham. He says it was the car's fault.
Yeah.
Actually, the car is what was in possession. I mean, if you want to argue that as a lawyer, Jason.
I mean, I would argue the backpack was probably more in possession than the car, but that's I see what you did there.
It's all imputed to the driver.
Yeah.
So that's what it's all on you, dude.
It's all on you. That's right. That's right. Well, that was fun, you guys. Thank you all for joining us and getting high at 9 with us every Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific and high noon on the East Coast. Big shout out to our audience and supporters for tuning in daily and listening to the insanity that is the developing cannabis industry. Huge thank you to Aim High Hemp Distribution, tested, and Catalyst for helping us keep the lights on over here. And thank you to our correspondents for being absolutely amazing. Thank you to Cannabis Sativa L for giving us a reason to do this every day. And thank you to Cloud Media Partners Anthony out there in the metaverse somewhere. And thank you all for tuning in and getting high at 9 with us. We are America's #1 daily cannabis news show. And we're off, you guys.